So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the second tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end as per Yeshayahu the prophet. We find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the holy cities of the Hamashiach laid waste from many centuries. Reading from Yeshayahu the prophet, it is obviously pertinent reading these understandings from the viewpoint of the ancient nomads, where then these instructions were given. The line of thinking and also the line of understanding was given to these particular people. So then, as far as what's going on in the world, what then comes as far as the understanding or the prophetic understanding of the time of the end? Previously, there was a huge war in Syria, and unfortunately many times the United States did not want this particular president of continuing his duties, and the United States was wrong. So what then as far as the Soviet Union taking on the lead and the military role regarding then the new trade system, or the BRICS, where then China is the main leading force? What is then for Turkey? What is then for Egypt? What are these countries then involved so precisely that the region should have nearly a total peace? Now then, the instructions are very clear, and the always given years ago regarding then the ISIL, regarding then the Soviet Union, regarding then the region of Egypt. These were then properly given via Daniel the 11th chapter. Now the unfolding of these great events simply are given more enlightenment regarding then the preparation during this restoration period. Now then, as far as the 11th chapter, the kingdom of the north then later on shall come with a greater army and much equipment. Obviously this makes a reference regarding then the kingdom of the north, or then the Soviet Union, coming back very strongly and stronger than the former. And not only this, but then regarding ISIL, it was said before that ISIL would become a great force, but then at some point they would drop the arms and blend themselves with the Egyptians. Now then, this is somewhat confusing at this point in time, because there is a huge distinction from Egyptians and then ISIL, and what they believe and what not. But these instructions, or then the understandings of these prophecies, relate the sons of Ishmael, yet not having an identity, gathering in Egypt, becoming a very strong force later on. Not only this, but then the Soviet Union and also Turkey must establish very important nuclear power plant in the region, because there is a strategic point extremely important for then the flow of armies, and these armies then is joint force of the region, so then China can stabilize its trade, and then construction can take place in a very strong and consistent way. Now then, China is a powerful force around the world, very strong economy, simply are delineating the trade system, the BRICS system, a loan system, and also investment system through the BRICS Bank where then this system is going to be around the world, and then the regions of confusion and destruction and war must then stabilize for this China One Belt. Very important, because the nations are obviously awaiting for a great chance for rebuilding, for the development of economy, and this truly requires a great plan, and this plan is directly related with China, the Arab world, and the Soviets. Now, the Arab world is unfortunately at this point in time very fragmented, but it shall, absolutely shall, organize themselves, because the joint forces of these countries can absolutely set the standards for development in the very near future. So then, what do we understand from the scripture as far as the power of the kingdom of the north? So then, Daniel the 11th chapter is very specific regarding then the kingdom of the north, and then the host greater than the former, and then coming with a great army and much equipment. Now then, what is going on as far as the Soviet Union as the protector of the new trade system? Obviously, there are a lot of skirmishes going on in China, in South China Sea. But those situations with the influence of the Soviet Union, as they were very competent at doing the Syrian developments and also negotiations, so it must in China. So it must in many other regions, such as Vietnam and the problems at sea. So the Soviets are taking a great responsibility doing what they did in Syria, but it doesn't stop there. They probably already have a sense of understanding and development from their viewpoint in what they should protect and intervene in linking up with the Arab world and China. Now then, it's a very hard task, because the situation thus far regarding then the system of the West was absolutely atrociously ridiculous. It was a waste of money, waste of power, waste of lives, a waste of war, a waste of every kind. And unfortunately, U.S. has no longer competency of dealing with so many of these situations. Now then, from the standpoint of economy, that's where then the competency comes from. It's not the fact that the country is unable or not competent from the standpoint of technicality. It's because the economy is very weak. The government of the United States no longer can maintain an economy, so then the system that they defend then can be once again refurbished. So later on I'm going to investigate these more from the enlightenment of the technology in the new system, and also from the virtual monetary system, where then many nations cannot charge taxes from a system that does not have a link with a centralized banking. So then later on I'm going to continue with this situation, and then making sure the developments are taking place not only in Syria, but then in many other places. As far as Egypt is concerned, they are involved with some skirmishes, yet they must organize and also joint forces with ISIL in another type of movement that shall bring development for the region. As far as China, the objective is obviously the One China Belt, bringing then resources and also investments from many countries. So please stay tuned, much more coming up.